Hello co-learners, welcome to my channel BioBundle, and in today's class we are going to learn about transportation in animals. So it's a very simple topic based out of class 10 NCERT Science Life Processes chapter. If we talk about the evolution of heart, right, we will see that it's a first two-chambered heart came, then it evolved the three-chambered heart and eventually a four-chambered heart in more complex organisms. So two-chambered heart comprises of one atrium and one ventricle and is found in fishes. And as you can see, the circuit between the gills and the heart and the body is found as such. Now, fishes, they live in water. They take in oxygen which is dissolved in water. So the water enters into the body of fishes. There it passes to the gill. Gills are richly supplied with blood capillaries. So the blood that is present in the gill capillaries and the water which is entering into the gills, there an exchange of gases would take place. What would happen? The dissolved oxygen from the water would enter into the gill capillaries and the carbon dioxide from the capillaries would leave and enter into the water. So this blood which was earlier deoxygenated and which got purified, sort of the carbon dioxide got released. Now this oxygen, after that it has entered into the gill capillaries, the blood is now oxygenated, and this oxygen rich blood goes to all the parts of the body. After the body uses that oxygen, the tissues, the cells, due to cellular respiration, the carbon dioxide is released and now again the blood is deoxygenated. So as you can see, blood flows only once to complete its circuit. This type of circulation is called single circulation. Okay. The next type of heart that we see is a three-chambered heart. In three-chambered heart, we have two atrium and one ventricle. So the heart ventricle is not completely developed. Two chambers are there, atria and only one ventricle. The septum is not completely developed, so it's only one ventricle. Where is it found? It is found in amphibians and reptiles, but crocodile, it has four-chambered heart. Now, because these animals do not have two ventricles, ultimately there is a mixing of the venous blood and the atrial blood. The oxygenated and the deoxygenated blood, they get mixed in the ventricles, and this is less efficient than the one which is found in mammals and birds. In mammals and birds, they have four-chambered heart, which is a very efficient system. So this three-chambered heart is better than the single circulation, the two-chambered heart, but it is lesser efficient than the four-chambered heart. Now the question comes, why the cold-blooded animals, these amphibians and reptiles, how they manage with this less efficient system? Now the answer lies in the term only. Amphibians and reptiles, they are cold-blooded animals. They do not need to spend extra energy to maintain their internal body temperature. Cold-blooded animals mean their body temperature varies with the external environmental temperature, right? So because they do not have to spend extra energy to maintain their internal body temperature, this little mixing of blood can be tolerated by the amphibians and reptiles. The amphibians and reptiles, because their energy needs are lesser as compared to mammals and reptiles, because they are cold-blooded. So these cold-blooded animals, they can tolerate the mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, where in the ventricle part, from left atrium the oxygenated blood enters into the ventricle, from the right atrium the deoxygenated blood enters into the ventricle, and they get mixed here. So this mixing can be tolerated by these amphibians and reptiles. Now when we come to the four-chambered heart, what is there in four-chambered heart? Two atria and two ventricles. Singular is called atrium, plural is atria. So there are two atria and two ventricles which is found in birds and mammals. And because it's such a beautifully chambered uh, type of heart, there is no intermixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, and it's very efficient. Now the thing is, why it has to be so efficient? Birds and mammals are warm-blooded animals. Warm-blooded animals have to maintain a constant internal body temperature. This needs energy. Where will the energy come from? The energy will come from cellular respiration after food or glucose is oxidized. How we can oxidize the glucose? By using oxygen. Where will the oxygen come from? It will come from the lungs. But how will it get transported to all the cells and tissues of the body? With the help of blood, right? So the transportation system is responsible for picking up oxygen from the lungs and delivering it to the cells and tissues. So since these animals have a high energy requirement, they need an efficient supply of oxygen to the body, because only when oxygen is available the glucose can be easily oxidized and energy can be released, and that energy would be utilized by the organism to maintain its internal body temperature, because they are warm blooded animals. So they need this efficient separation of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So in mammals and birds we have the double circulation. So let's see quickly. The lungs, from here oxygenated blood enters into left atrium. From left atrium it goes to left ventricle. From here aorta carries the oxygenated blood to the tissues. The tissues utilize that oxygen and they form carbon dioxide in the process of aerobic respiration. That carbon dioxide is dissolves in the blood, and now the blood we call as deoxygenated blood. Where does it go in the heart? It goes to the right atrium. From there it goes to right ventricle. From right ventricle again it is pumped out and it goes to the lungs. Who carries it to the lungs? Pulmonary artery. The artery, which is, even though it's artery, it carries deoxygenated blood. Now lungs, it has taken a fresh breath of air in, so oxygen would get dissolved in the blood and again the supply would go. So what do you observe here? Blood has to enter heart twice. First here, now again from tissues to here. Blood has to enter twice to complete one cycle, one circulation. This is called double circulation. Double circulation comprises of pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Pulmonary word, you know, the meaning of pulmonary is lungs. So pulmonary circulation is between lungs and heart. Systemic circulation, systemic refers to the body. So systemic circulation is between the heart and the rest of the body. So what happens in pulmonary circulation? From the lungs, oxygenated blood enters into the left atrium, and from right ventricle of the heart, deoxygenated blood goes to the lungs. This is pulmonary circulation. What is systemic circulation? From left ventricle of the heart, when the ventricles contract, oxygenated blood goes to tissues. Who carries it? Aorta, largest artery in the body. And from the tissues, the deoxygenated blood enters into heart through inferior and superior vena cava in the right atrium. So the blood has to enter twice to complete one cycle. This is called double circulation. So this is a diagram where you can see in the fishes one atrium, one ventricle, and it's a single circulation. Blood flows only once. Here there are two atrium but only one ventricle with a partial division. It's not completely divided, and they have this incomplete double circulation. And here we have a very nicely developed septum between the atrium and between the ventricles, which separates the oxygenated from the deoxygenated blood. And this is the way, this is example of double circulation. So thank you.